Ladies and gentlemen, let me talk to you today because there are some women out here confused, questioning themselves, wondering, does he like me or am I imagining things? And I'm here to tell you something important today. When a man is secretly attracted to you, he will always show it. Always. A man can lie with his mouth, but his behavior will betray him every single time. Ladies and gentlemen, let me break this down in a way that clears all confusion, because too many people are waiting on words when the truth has already been spoken through actions. Attraction always reveals itself through behavior before words, and that's not opinion, that's fact. A man does not wake up one day and suddenly confess feelings out of nowhere. Long before he opens his mouth, his behavior has been talking loud and clear. You see, words require courage. Words require risk. Words force accountability. But behavior is instinctive. Behavior happens when a man isn't thinking, when he isn't guarding himself, when he isn't rehearsing what he's going to say. That's why behavior tells the truth faster than language ever will. A man can plan his speech, but he cannot fool or control his reactions. When a man is attracted to you, his attention shifts automatically. He doesn't sit there calculating it. His eyes find you even when he pretends not to look. His ears catch your voice even in a noisy room. That's not him being polite. That's biology at work. Attraction pulls focus. It narrows attention. And once a man's focus is pulled toward you, his behavior follows we. He wants it to or not. Now, here's where women often doubt themselves. You start thinking maybe he's just friendly, or maybe that's just his personality. But let me tell you something. Men are very selective with emotional energy. A man does not consistently invest attention, time, and awareness into someone he feels nothing for. We don't do that. If his behavior toward you stands out calm, paired to how he treats others, that's not accidental. That's attraction expressing itself quietly. Another thing behavior reveals is priority. A man may say he's busy, but watch what he does. If he makes time for you, checks on you, or responds quickly when you reach out, his actions have already answered the question. Attraction reorganizes priorities. Things that didn't matter before suddenly ache room. And he might not even realize he's doing it. That's how deep instinct runs. Let's talk about emotional responses for a moment. Behavior shows up most clearly when emotions are involved. Notice how he reacts when you're happy, stressed, or distant. A man who is attracted feels affected by your emotional state. Your mood impacts his energy. If you're quiet, he notices. If you're upset, it bothers him. If you're excited, it lifts him. That emotional mirroring isn't friendship. It's attachment forming. And here's something important. When attraction is present but unspoken, behavior becomes inconsistent in interesting ways. One moment he's confident, joking, engaging, and present. The next moment he pulls back, goes quiet, or acts unsure. That push and pull is not confusion about you. It's conflict within him. His behavior is wrestling with feelings he hasn't decided how to handle yet. But even that inconsistency proves one thing: you matter enough to disturb his emotional balance. Men also reveal attraction through protection long before confession. He may not call it that, but he watches out for you. He offers help without being asked. He steps in when you're uncomfortable. Checks to make sure you're safe. That instinct doesn't come from politeness. It comes from value. A man protects what he feels connected to, even when he hasn't defined that connection yet. Another behavioral giveaway is investment without reward. When a man gives effort without expecting anything in return, no validation, no attention, no benefit, that's attraction exposing itself. He listens to your stories even when they don't involve him. He supports your goals even when they don't serve him. Men do not emotionally invest where they feel nothing. Behavior like that comes from desire, not obligation. Now understand this clearly. Behavior always shows before words because behavior doesn't require permission. Feelings show up in actions long before the mind gives approval to speak them. That's why a man might say, "I'm not ready," or "I don't want anything serious," while his behavior says, "I'm already emotionally involved." When words and actions don't match, believe the behavior. This is why patience reveals truth. If you simply observe instead of chasing clarity, Behavior will eventually tell you everything you need to know. A man can hide his words, but he cannot hide RNS. Patterns expose intention. Consistency exposes desire. Over time, behavior either grows closer or fades away. Attraction doesn't stay neutral, it moves. So if you're paying attention, you won't need a confession to know how a man feels. You'll see it in how often he shows up, how he reacts to your presence, how your absence affects him, and how naturally he prioritizes you. Attraction doesn't wait for permission to reveal itself. It speaks first through behavior, long before the mouth ever catches up. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something real today, because this is where a lot of people get fooled. Men struggle to hide genuine interest, even when they try their hardest to do so. A man can tell himself he's going to stay distant, stay logical, stay in control. But attractio doesn't listen to logic. Attraction ignores plans. Attraction shows up whether a man wants it to or not. You see, when a man is genuinely interested, there is an internal battle going on. Part of him wants to protect himself, avoid rejection, and keep his emotions guarded. The other part of him is drawn to you in ways he cannot explain. That tension leaks out in his behavior. He may think he's hiding it well, but the truth is, the more he tries to suppress attraction, the more obvious it becomes. One of the first places it shows is in his body language. A man who is secretly attracted leans toward you without realizing it. His body opens up when you speak. His feet point in your direction. His posture changes. These are unconscious movements. He's not planning them. His body is reacting before his mind catches up. That's how powerful attraction is. It bypasses conscious control. Now let's talk about conversation. A man who is trying to hide interest often talks more than necessary around the woman he is attracted to, or sometimes he talks less because he's afraid of saying the wrong thing. Either way, the shift is noticeable. He becomes unusually attentive to your words. He reacts strongly to your opinions. He remembers details you mentioned weeks ago. You didn't remind him. He stored that information because it mattered to him. Men also give themselves away through nervous energy. You might notice him fidgeting, adjusting his clothes, clearing his throat, or smiling more than usual. That nervousness isn't weakness, it's care. You don't get nervous around someone you feel nothing for. Nervousness means stakes are involved. It means your opinion matters to him more than he wants to admit. Another way men fail at hiding attraction is through inconsistency. One day he's confident and playful, the next day he's distant and guarded. That's not games, it's inner conflict. He's trying to manage feelings he hasn't decided how to express. When a man feels nothing, his Eeyore is flat and predictable. When he feels something strong, his behavior fluctuates because he's constantly adjusting. Now, let me tell you about emotional reactions, because this is where hiding becomes impossible. A man who claims not to care will still react emotionally to you. He gets bothered when you pull away. He gets quieter when another man enters the picture. He becomes more attentive. He senses he's losing ground. Those reactions are not controlled, they're instinctive. You don't react emotionally to what you don't value. Men also struggle to hide attraction when it comes to availability. Even when he's busy, tired, or distracted, he finds a way to respond to you. He may not always initiate, but he rarely ignores you. That's because attraction creates urgency. When someone matters, they don't get mentally postponed. They stay present in a man's mind, even when he's doing other things. Another giveaway is protectiveness disguised as concern. He may ask questions like, "Did you get home safe?" Or "Who was that you were with?" He may offer advice you didn't ask for. He may subtly position himself as someone you can rely on. That instinct comes from attraction, not free. Endliness. Men don't emotionally monitor people they don't care about. Let's talk about jealousy, because this is where masks slip. A man can pretend all day that he's unaffected, but let someone else get your attention and watch what happens. His tone changes, his energy shifts, he may joke, tease, or suddenly withdraw. Jealousy doesn't come from ownership, it comes from attachment. And attachment, exists long before confession. Here's the truth. A man can hide his words, but he cannot hide effort. Effort takes energy. Energy follows interest. If he's showing up, checking in, remembering, reacting, adjusting his behavior around you, he's already emotionally involved, whether he admits it or not. Men struggle to hide genuine attraction because it disrupts their emotional neutrality. Ask them act differently. It makes them care. And caring is loud, even when silence is attempted. You don't have to interrogate a man to know how he feels. Just watch what slips through when he thinks no one is paying attention. Ladies and gentlemen, let me say this in a way that cuts through all the confusion. Because consistency is the loudest signal of secret attraction. Anybody can show intake. Rest once. Anybody can have a good day, a nice moment, or a friendly interaction. But when a man is secretly attracted to you, what gives him away is not intensity, it's repetition. It's what he does over time when nobody is forcing him to do anything at all. A man who feels nothing is random. He appears and disappears without pattern. He responds when it's convenient and forgets when it's not. B. A man who is attracted, even secretly, develops habits around you. And habits don't lie. He checks in consistently. He remembers. He follows up, not because he's trying to impress you, but because his mind keeps returning to you naturally. Consistency shows up in the smallest ways first. He might be the one who always reacts to your messages, always notices when something changes about you, always remembers important dates or details. These things may seem small, but they require mental space. A man does not repeatedly make room in his mind for someone he feels nothing for. Consistency means you live in his awareness. Now listen carefully because this is important. Consistency doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it's quiet. It's the man who checks on you without needing a reason. The man who stays in touch even when life gets busy. The man who keeps the connection alive without demanding anything in return. That's not friendliness, that's attachment forming beneath the surface. Another thing consistency reveals is emotional presence. A secretly attracted man is emotionally available to you even when he claims he's not looking for anything. He listens when you talk. He validates your feelings. He shows concern when you're stressed. That emotional consistency is rare. Men do not repeatedly show emotional care to people they don't value. Consistency also shows in reliability. When he says he'll do something, he does it. When you need support, he shows up. Not once, not twice, but repeatedly. That reliability isn't accidental. It comes from a sense of responsibility he feels toward you, even if he hasn't named it yet. Responsibility is a form of commitment, and commitment starts long before labels. Let's talk about presence, because that's where consistency becomes undeniable. A man who is secretly attracted stays mentally present in your life. Even during gaps, he returns. Even after distance, he reconnects. He doesn't let the connection fade completely. Tease because attraction pulls him back like gravity. He might step away to regain control, but he always finds his way back. Another sign is consistency and interest, not just contact. He asks about your life, your goals, your struggles. He remembers past conversations and builds on them. That means he's not just passing time, he's investing. Investment requires intention even when it's unspoken. ND intention is the foundation of attraction. Here's something many people misunderstand. Consistency does not mean perfection. A secretly attracted man may still hesitate, pull back, or act unsure at times. But even in that hesitation, his baseline behavior remains steady. He doesn't disappear permanently. He doesn't detach emotionally. The connection survives his doubt, and that survival is the proof. Men are creatures of habit. Once a man emotionally attaches to someone, his behavior patterns shift. He includes you in his routines. He makes you part of his normal life. That's one of the clearest signs of hidden attraction. You're not an event, you're a presence. Consistency also shows in how he treats you compared to others. You'll notice extra patience, extra effort, extra consideration. Not because he's trying to impress you, but because you matter more to him. Men don't consistently go the extra mile for people who don't matter. Let me tell you this plainly. If a man is consistently present, consistently engaged, consistently supportive, and consistently invested, he is not confused. He may be silent, he may be cautious, but he is not unsure. His behavior has already chosen you, even if his words haven't caught up ye. Consistency is the language attraction speaks when fear silences the mouth. It's the proof that remains when excuses fall apart. If you pay attention to what repeats, not what is promised, you will always know where you stand. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. You need to understand about men because emotional reactions expose what the mouth refuses to say. A man can control his words, rehearse his answers, and choose silence, but he cannot fully control how he feels in real time. Emotions rise before logic has a chance to shut them down, and that's where the truth comes out. When a man is secretly attracted to you, his emotional reactions will be stronger than the situation requires. Small things will affect him more than they should. Your absence feels heavier to him than he admits. Your presence energizes him in ways he doesn't fully understand. That emotional imbalance is not random. It's attachment forming beneath the surface. Watch how he reacts when your attention shifts. If you pull back even slightly, he notices. He may not confront you, but his energy changes. He becomes quieter, more serious, or suddenly more attentive. That reaction didn't come from nowhere. People only react emotionally to the potential loss of something they value. Indifference does not react. It stays neutral. Another powerful indicator is how he responds to your happiness. A man who is secretly attracted wants to see you smile. Your laughter affects his mood. When you're doing well, he feels uplifted. When you're struggling, he feels unsettled. That emotional mirroring. Friendship, it's emotional connection. He is emotionally invested, even if he hasn't labeled it yet. Now let's talk about jealousy because this is where emotions speak loudest. A man can say all day that he doesn't care who you talk to, but emotions tell a different story. When another man enters the picture, his behavior shifts. He may joke it off, get quieter, change the subject, or become more present. That jealousy is not about control, it's about attachment. You don't feel threatened by competition unless you feel invested. Emotional reactions also show up in defensiveness. If he becomes sensitive to how you perceive him, that's attraction. If your opinion affects his confidence, that's attraction. Men don't emotionally guard their image around people they feel nothing. 4. Care creates vulnerability, and vulnerability creates reaction. Another sign is overthinking. A secretly attracted man replays conversations in his head. He worries about how he came across. He wonders what you meant by certain words. That mental loop creates emotional responses. Nervousness, excitement, anxiety. You don't overthink interactions with people who don't matter to you. Pay attention to how he reacts when you're unavailable. If he gets restless, checks in more often, or suddenly tries to reestablish connection, that's emotion talking. His mind is responding to discomfort, not strategy. Emotional attachment dislikes uncertainty. Men also reveal attraction through emotional patience. He gives you grace. He listens when you're upset. He doesn't dismiss your feelings. That patience requires emotional investment. Men don't expend emotional energy on people they don't care about. Now understand this. Emotional reactions are honest because they happen before self-control steps in. That's why a man might say one thing but feel another. His mouth might claim distance, but his emotions react as if you matter deeply. When words and emotions don't align, trust the emotions. Let me say this clearly. Emotional neutrality means no attraction. Emotional fluctuation means connection. If your presence changes his emotional state, you are not invisible to him. You are important enough to move him. A man who feels nothing remains steady no matter what you do. A man who is secretly attracted is emotionally affected by your choices, your energy, and your presence. That emo Channel exposure is not weakness. It's truth revealing itself before permission is granted. Ladies and gentlemen, let me finish this the right way, because a man's actions will always confess before his lips do. You can listen to what a man says all day long, but if you want the truth, watch what he does when nobody is forcing him, when nothing is expected, and when there is nothing to gain. Acti. Ons are honest because they cost energy, time, and intention. When a man is secretly attracted to you, his actions begin to orbit around you. He finds reasons to engage. He creates moments where none are required. He shows up without being asked. That kind of effort doesn't come from politeness or boredom. It comes from desire looking for expression when words feel too risky. A man may tell himself he's not ready, not interested, or not looking for anything serious, but his behavior will quietly contradict him. He checks in. He remembers what matters to you. He adjusts his schedule. Those adjustments are confessions. Men do not rearrange their lives for things they feel nothing about. Every action he takes in your direction is a vote for how he truly feels. Watch how. He behaves when there is no audience, when nobody is watching, when there's no praise, when there's no immediate reward. If he still supports you, still shows concern, still makes himself available, that's authenticity. Attraction does not need applause to act. Another powerful confession is consistency of action. He doesn't just show interest once and disappear. He shows up again and again. He follows through. He keeps his word. Those actions say you matter, even if his mouth stays quiet. Consistency requires intention, and intention reveals attachment. Look at how he responds to your needs. If he notices when you're overwhelmed, tired, or stressed and steps in without being asked, that's attraction. Men are problem solvers by nature, but they only activate that instinct for people they care about. Action driven by empathy is not casual, it's emotional investment. A man's actions also confess through sacrifice. He gives up comfort, convenience, or time to be present in your life. Sacrifice is one of the clearest signs of attraction because it requires choice. A man chooses what matters. If he, choosing you, even in small ways, his actions are speaking loudly. Pay attention to protection in action, not words. He checks on your safety. He offers help. He positions himself as someone you can rely on. That's not coincidence. That's instinct tied to attraction. Men protect what they feel connected to. Another confession comes through prioritization. If he makes space for you even when fee is demanding, that's truth. People find time for what they value. Actions reveal priorities without explanation. Understand this clearly. A man can lie with words because words are easy. Actions require follow-through. They require commitment. That's why actions reveal feelings before they are admitted. A man may not be brave enough to speak his attraction yet, but his actions will betray him long before his courage arrives. Let me say this to you plainly. You don't need to chase clarity from a man who is already showing you the truth. You don't need to interrogate feelings that are already being demonstrated. Watch what he does when he thinks nothing is on the line. That's where honesty lives.